It is Thursday, the 30th day of December 2021, just a couple of hours before the year 2021 ends. Hello there and welcome to our first edition of News Tonight here on UBC TV. First though, let's have a look at our top stories.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
In our top stories tonight, Major General Muhanga Kayanja visits newly captured Kambi Yayua in the DRC. KCC enforcement nets street vendors in smart city swoop. Flight disruptions continue in US over Omicron, adverse weather. And in sports, State Minister for Sports Samson Obua emphasizes grassroots sports development.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
Hello there and welcome once again. On sign language, it is Elizabeth Nakakoni and I am Rukidi Edward Kiijanangoma, and we are coming to you live online and on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. Now, the overall Operation Shujaa commander, Major General Muhanga Kayanja, has paid a visit and toured Camp Yua, the former ADF stronghold that was captured by the combined assault forces of UPDF and FARDC. He was received by Colonel James Kasule, the UPDF commander, and Lieutenant Colonel Mbayo Batuta, the FARDC commander, who led him on a tour of 8-acre camp dotted with numerous structures that used to accommodate ADF remnants and their families. Now, while briefing journalists who accompanied him, General Kayanja remarked that the capture of Kambi Yayua marked the end of Phase 1 of Operation Shujaa, now transitioning to Phase 2. Take a watch.
Currently we are in Kambi Yayua. You have visited Kambi Yayua, and that was the first phase of the Operation Shujaa. So we are now transiting into the second phase of the operation. We captured it with less resistance from the enemy. We charged a few things, PK, it's a machine gun, bomb making materials, laptops, and other documents. It was one of the biggest camps within the Eastern DRC. It had 624 people, according to the documents found within the camp. The challenge of the terrain, it's a very rough terrain, it's a jungle with very deep valleys and hills. The challenge number 2 is diseases. Of course, you know, it's a jungle and it has a lot of diseases, so our boys are getting diseases. Also the challenge of the long lines of communication from Uganda. It is fun. We have to supply by air because we are not using the road. There are no roads in Congo. That is the biggest camp we have captured, but along the advance, there were some other small camps that we overran to reach that big camp, Kambi Yayua. We are still in operations, and we are doing our best not to give them time to regroup. That will depend. It depends on our memorandum of understanding with the government of Congo. So it's about the ADF and other armed militias. If they become resistant, we have to deal with them.
That was Major General Muhanga ending that report there. Kampala Capital City Authority has arrested street vendors downtown in an operation dubbed Smart City that started 2 months back to crack down on illegal businesses in the city. One of the affected women is a lady who some years back was manhandled by enforcement officers, but the mayor, Arias Lukwago, intervened and she was released. And of course, this Smart City operation continues. Now, police have arrested a taxi driver and conductor of Katoke Bwaise Nabweru stage at Nachivubo Muse in connection with the death of a passenger in their taxi. The deputy spokesperson, Kampala Metropolitan Police, Luko Esijire, says police is investigating this death because the deceased was found with a swelling on the eye.
There was pandemonium and business was at a standstill around Nachivubo Muse, downtown Kampala, when a taxi that was coming from Nabweru Katoke Bwaise found a dead passenger in the taxi. On arrival, they asked the man, who seemed like a security guard, to pay taxi fares, but he was not responding. One of the drivers at this stage says his colleague alleged the deceased was a passenger who just boarded the taxi from someplace as usual. The head of the stage, Nabweru Katoke, Noah Walugada, says he cannot tell what exactly happened, but his driver and conductor told him they have found a dead person in the taxi. Contrary to this information, the driver of the taxi, Semogere John, says the dead is a security guard at their parking in Nabweru. They were not aware he was in the taxi. The deputy police spokesperson, Kampala Metropolitan, Luke Esijire, said the two, a conductor and driver, have been arrested to help police with investigations.
Apagu was found dead in a taxi UAU 859L that was traveling from Katoke Bwaise to Kampala City. It is alleged that when the taxi reached Nachivubo Muse, the taxi operators tried to wake up Apagu to pay the fares, only to realize that he was dead. Our homicide team has visited the scene and realized that the deceased had a swelling on the eye, an indication that he had been beaten or hit. We have conveyed his body to Chimochale Mulago for postmortem. We have also arrested the driver of the motor vehicle, John Semogerere and Bruno Maweje.
I'm Nafka Farida in Kampala.
Very, very sad story indeed. Now, the clock is quickly ticking to end of 2021, and in some hours from now, Uganda will join the rest of the world to usher in the new year 2022. Our news crew was in downtown Kampala to get the public's view on the year 2021. We have more in this report.
2021 has been a year to reckon with for many people in all walks of life. But in contrast with 2020, some say it has been relatively good.
Okay, actually 2021 it was better for me because I saved like 600 in this year, but I don't know becomes 2022. I don't know.
Though we made some little cash, now it wasn't better because the other years at least we could make some good money during this festive season. Like people would buy clothes, like people used to go out. Now bars are still locked, like so happening places are still they're still down, so not made some good money, though we've tried.
The major challenge for majority of the public UBC interfaced with tell lack of disposable income. This is attributed to constrained economic activities due to total closure and partial reopening of certain sectors of the economy.
Sente ne sente zennyini uyinza okujja n'ofuna omutwalo togufuna tosobola gulekerako waka muntu mwana waka oba waka n'olekera omukazi waka n'obaako kyofunamu era tegumala sente okuzifuna kizibu n'ebyo zikola tebirina makulu kale omwaka guno gubadde muzibu nnyo.
With the government's promise to fully reopen the economy in January 2022, the public and the business community is upbeat.
To the government, if they can help us to leave us to work, let them leave us to work, because we can't go and steal. We have to work hard. Like for me, I'm a single mother. I have to work, I have to pay rent. My baby's coming to study, I have to also look for school fees, In
a few hours, the world will usher in the new year 2022. Fireworks and overnight prayers, synonymous with New Year celebrations, are prohibited across the country. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
A minister for Kampala, Hajat Misa Kabanda, has formed an organization called the Road to Rescue Muslims that's aimed at uniting desperate Muslims. Misa Kabanda says Muslims allege that they have not benefited from the national cake, hence brainwashed to join forces of change. Kabanda says Muslims now want to meet President Museveni to air out their differences, as we hear in this story.
The Minister for Kampala, Hajat Misa Kabanda, has met the Muslim community of Namagoma to forge ways of rescuing Muslims that have been brainwashed to join forces to overthrow government.
Because most young Muslims are desperate. They think government has not done anything about them. They are lacking jobs. They cannot borrow money because religion does not allow them. Because for us, we say if you borrow money with interest, it's haram. So at least for them, they can't go to banks, they can't go to parish models, they can't go to Miyoga money because there is riba.
Minister Kabanda says government is ready to give amnesty to all Muslims that have been brainwashed.
So we've advised them to come out of the bush, to come and talk to us, come and talk to the president, come to talk to me, tell me their problems, then we shall discuss with the president, and the president will be willing to meet them.
Hajat Misa Kabanda met with women whose husbands were imprisoned.
Twayagala okuwanika nga sumanje tugenda okuwanikira era nina essanyu okubaga nti abamu abakkiriza tugenda basabira babasonyiwe tutambule nabo era tubalina ekyo kyo kituufu tubakoze eki tubalina n'abali mu nsiko nga nabo tuba encouraginga nti temusobola kubanga olina emmundu 100 n'olwana ne tanka 100.
She disclosed that her organization has interacted with over 700 disparate Muslims who think have not benefited from government programs.
Abasiramu okutufuula bambega bammwe ne tumala okubeera bambega bammwe naffe abasiramu ne tusirwala nnyo ne twerabira ne Allah waffe ne twerabira n'akhira ne tubaleetera amawulire amakyamu. Abasiramu abava e Nakasero, abasiramu abava ku William, abasiramu abava ku Odi Kampala, abava e Kibuli, mmwe mutwala information musemwayi mu iso mu jati teri mulala ate ne mutwala y'ebikyamu mujjukire yaumul qiyama mujja kunnyonnyola abantu abakubiddwa ne bayiwa omusaayi ne bafa nga bafiiridde ku mikono gyammwe ku nnimi zammwe mujja kunnyonnyola Allah ow'obuyinza. Okwo kunoonyereza nkukoze emyaka 7.
The head of the Joint Intelligence Committee at the Chieftaincy of Military Intelligence, Colonel Okeiru Kogota, says there is need of opening up communication between Muslims and government to address their concerns.
Tugulawo communication chekintu ekikulu. Arabia juzi CDF nayogera nti gendo demo okole omulimu ogwo. Era kaakati ndi kukola omulimu guli gwe nakolanga officially. Era ne kaakati obubaka bwe muntumye olwedde mbwetise nja kubutuusa officially.
The Road to Rescue Muslims organization will traverse the country interacting with the Muslim community to improve their livelihoods. Sudat Kai, UBC News.
It's coming to 17 minutes after 8 in the studios of UBC TV. We'll now be taking a very short break, and when we return, we'll give you what's happening in the world of business.
Everyone deserves more this festive season, which is why MTN Momo is giving you more Senku points on your MTN Momo withdrawals at agent locations. Get 150 Senku points for every 1,000 shillings spent in withdrawal fees. More Senku points means you get more free minutes, more free MBs, more free SMSs, and more free Momo Pay shopping. To use your Senku points, dial *141#.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Raising voices.
Like other fathers across Uganda, I'm standing up to say no to violence against children. I commit to give my children a violence-free childhood. As fathers, we can make Uganda safer for our children. I promise to speak out when I see violence.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs.
My name is Suga Morris. I'm an Airtel Money agent. I'm from Chibuli here. That's where I operate from. I won 2 million shillings. This is great, guys. Go for this. This is for real.
The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
I am one of the millions of people who have been vaccinated. And today I want to ask you to choose to be vaccinated so that we can all go back to enjoying the Uganda we all love. A country that is one of the most entrepreneurial in the world with the most friendly people. A country where we can do business with anyone at any time. A country that is free of COVID-19. So, get vaccinated today
in any of the verified health centers
and let's bring business back to Uganda. COVID-19 vaccines are free of charge, safe and available.
Invest in your health. Invest in Uganda. This message is brought to you by the Uganda Investment Authority.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda.
Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy a 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
The global COVID-19 pandemic led the nation to 2 years of unprecedented learning, disruptions and closures. Now it is the time when the country is getting focused on upcoming school reopening. This is not a time for despair. This is a time to deepen community engagement for safer schools reopening. Rural Broadcasters Owners Association DRUBA, in partnership with Ministry of Education, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, World of Bingwa, Teacher Talk Magazine and Stanbic Bank will engage parents, learners, teachers, school proprietors through an inclusive National Safe Back to School Symposium. The National SB2S Symposium is a countrywide 3 days of deliberation hosted at UBC and aired simultaneously via radio stations and televisions from Monday 3rd January to Wednesday 5th January 2022 from 11 a.m. to midday. The speakers will include the Minister from Education, Youth and Child Affairs, leaders of teachers' unions, school proprietors, parents and private sector. The speakers will be supported by media personalities to convey messages in different languages as well as igniting conversations customized to geographical and social reach. Do not miss. Let's discuss safe school reopening.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Come with me.
So get your GoCoder and GoTV value for 25,000 shillings to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Something to look forward to.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season. And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. A warm welcome to those of you just joining us. Now let's talk some business. Wild animals have devastated gardens belonging to communities living near Kidepo Game Park, besides the drought that's faced by arable communities. Karenga District Vice Chairperson Margaret Narem says cultural wrestlers from hostile Karimojong neighbors are a problem.
People have cultivated and all their crops are destroyed by wildlife.
Karamojo region is experiencing food shortage due to crop failure as a result of drought that hit the last crop season. But for Karenga district, the situation has been worsened by wild animals which ate and cleared most of the gardens.
These are elephants and buffaloes who have many times disappointed our farmers, and it has resulted to famine. Like for example, this year
there is a lot of destruction. The alternative foods that we actually have, like cassava, that actually used to sustain the livelihood of these people.
An estimated 180 acres of the crop was destroyed in the sub-counties adjacent to the Kidepo Valley National Game Park, including the sub-counties of Sanga, Kawalakol and Chidepo.
We live through farming, and once our crops are destroyed, we really don't have anything. We don't have anything. And we are aware that government is protecting wildlife. We in Karenga love wildlife. But how can government help us?
Karenga district falls under the Green Belt region, which favors cultivation of crops and rearing of animals. World Food Programme and Sasakawa Africa Association are in the region to mobilize the community towards increasing food security and household incomes.
Specifically Sasakawa, we are working to support farmers to reduce post-harvest losses while at the same time promoting collective action by farmers.
Farmers in Karenga district have held end-of-season Farmers' Day in Sanga sub-county. Here, the district leaders say the interventions are creating great impact to the livelihood of the community and great success to Karamoja feeding program.
It is through this program that the livelihoods at house level will completely change. Because now people will not cultivate to eat, they will cultivate to sell.
We appreciate the interventions that our people are doing with the partner with the two partners, World Food and Sasakawa. And indeed, we as Karenga District Local Government, we are very proud of you people.
Through the different farmer groups and associations, the farmers are trained in harvesting and post-harvesting skills, encouraged to bulk and carry out collective marketing.
The progress of bulking is going on as such that there's now started the beans, bulk beans.
Okay. When I joined, the result was successfully was giving me encouragement.
Cattle rustlers are also a menace in the region.
We have the animal problem that is a big insecurity for our people, and we also have the insecurity of raiders.
The farmers are exposed to a number of technologies along the agriculture value chain. 5 green belt districts in Karamoja, Nabilatuk, Karenga, Abim, Napak, Nakapiripirit are under intense technology support from Sasakawa Africa Association and World Food Program to produce food for feeding Karamoja under the Agriculture and Market Support Project. I'm Navka Farida and Setumba Douglas.
What's news now? And State Minister for Sports, Samson Obua, has emphasized grassroots sports development for the country to benefit from the abundant talent. The minister believes Uganda has a lot at its disposal but remains idle due to lack of basics like equipment and infrastructure. Here is our reporter John Barnes Sentamo with more.
Government through National Council of Sports has intensified the grassroots sports development agenda.
But surely in a phased manner.
This project set off before the COVID-19 pandemic that derailed it, but has now been resuscitated and been to districts like Moroto and Kapchora. Those respective district and municipality sports councils were offered sports equipment like balls, which have also been received by Kayunga and Teso sub-region.
You're aware that as part of promoting community sports through the outreach, the National Council of Sports has been already to Karamoja and Sebei. Now we have covered Teso. Kayunga is a very, very special district in our heart. You know that recently there was a battle politically and the national resistance movement won. So for that matter, we are supporting Kayunga as a special district with 30 footballs and 20 netball.
The Teso sub-region balls were received by organizers of the Ataker football tournament that aims at reviving sports glory of the area.
The first core purpose of this tournament is to unify people. When there is unity, development can come through. Then secondly, the team also thought about creating a platform under which talent can be harnessed.
State Minister for Sports Samson Obua advised the recipients to put the balls to good use by tapping into talent of school-going and the community youth. John Barnes, Sentamo, reporting.
And that sports story brings us to the end of this first edition of News Tonight. We shall be coming back later on at 10 p.m. for our second and final edition of the news. Elizabeth Nakakuni has been on sign language, and I am Rukidi Edward Kiijanangoma. But shortly we shall be coming back to have our usual show here on UBC TV, and that is a national guidance moment that is powered by the Ministry of Information and National Guidance, and we'll be looking at East African community, and it is said that it is a pillar to national development. So do stay tuned.
Parents, guardians, and caregivers, there's a confirmed polio outbreak in Kampala, and therefore the Ministry of Health will conduct a national house-to-house polio immunization campaign. The first round of the campaign will take place from Friday, the 14th of January to Sunday, the 16th of January 2022 in all districts of Uganda. During the national house-to-house polio immunization campaign, health workers will come to your homes and immunize all your children under 5 years of age. Please note that the national house-to-house polio immunization campaign does not replace the routine immunization. The polio vaccine is safe, effective, and free.
Parents, guardians, and caregivers, please ensure that all your children under 5 years of age are immunized against polio during the National House-to-House Immunization Campaign from Friday 14th January to Sunday 16th January 2022. The dates for the second round of the campaign will be announced in due course. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF, World Health Organization, and partners.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
I'm growing up, I'm growing into every moment.
Thanks, Mom. Nurture the moment with Minute Maid Delight, now available in apple flavor in the 400ml ready-to-drink pack.
Mohamed Salah, Naby Keita, Yves Bissouma, Kalidou Koulibaly, Frank Kessie, Sadio Mane, Sebastian Haller, Riyad Mahrez, Wilfred Ndidi, Edouard Mendy, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Wilfred Zaha, Alexi Iwobi. When you hear these names, you may think you're probably watching the English Premier League or UEFA Champions League, but it's none of those. It's the 2021 Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations from 9th January to February 6, 2022. All these global elite football stars will be in Cameroon to grace the continent's most prestigious sporting event. 52 games, 24 countries, 1 continent, 1 trophy, 1 station, live, free and exclusive to your public broadcaster. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
My people know we go conquer.
The family of Mr. Chibedi Ismail of Kabuuma village, Wakiso district, announces the disappearance of their daughter Habiba Nakasua, a 16-year-old senior 1 student of Green Stars High School, Entebbe. Habiba Nakasua was sent to a nearby shop to buy groceries on 15th December 2021 and has not returned yet. The family appeals to whoever has seen Habiba Nakasua to contact the parents on 0772 896 265 or 0701 896 265 or report to the nearest police station. A big reward awaits.
Parents, guardians, and caregivers, there's a confirmed polio outbreak in Kampala, and therefore the Ministry of Health will conduct a national house-to-house polio immunization campaign. The first round of the campaign will take place from Friday, the 14th of January to Sunday, the 16th of January 2022 in all districts of Uganda. During the national house-to-house polio immunization campaign, health workers will come to your homes and immunize all your children under 5 years of age. Please note that the national house-to-house polio immunization campaign does not replace the routine immunization. The polio vaccine is safe, effective, and free.
Parents, guardians and caregivers, please ensure that all your children under 5 years of age are immunized against polio during the National House-to-House Immunization Campaign from Friday 14th January to Sunday 16th January 2022. The dates for the second round of the campaign will be announced in due course. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF, World Health Organization and partners.
Good evening once again. My name is Edward Kiijanangoma, and we are now, it's time for now to look at that moment when we look at the national guidance time or moment here in the studios, and this is brought to you by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance in liaison with Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. And tonight we are looking at a very, very interesting topic, and that is the East African community, and most people say that it is a pillar to national development. And in the studio, I'm joined by none other than Honorable George Odong, who is a member of Parliament of the East Africa at the East African Legislative Assembly, representing Uganda. Honorable, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening and thank you. Thank you for hosting me.
And of course, we do hope that you had a good Christmas.
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. So, Honorable, there is a lot that's going on, and especially in the East African community member states. But we are looking at development, and we understand there must be, there are actually strategies and programs that have been set out by the EAC to spur development of the respective member states. Tell us, what are some of these strategies and development programs?
First of all, I think it's important that we contextualize our regional integration, because most times I think we tend to isolate our issues, and we miss the broader context of why we integrate. If you look at from 1986, if you look at the 10 points program of the National Resistance Movement, point number 9 emphasized more on cooperation with with partner states and building a stronger Pan-African community. And it is largely driven by the understanding that we are much stronger when we come together, and that Africa has been balkanized for a long time, and with these balkanized states, they are more vulnerable for to the most to the power of globalization. So regional integration is driven by that context of saying, let's build a strong EAC that is able to build a center of gravity that allows us to negotiate our interests in the international stage, but most importantly, to pull resources together. Now, what is our strategy as a EAC? Our strategy as EAC, first of all, is on collective negotiation. That the East African community should be able to build the clout, the necessary clout that allows it to engage with our trade partners, whether it's the European Union, whether it is with other Asian countries, but we negotiate as a bloc. And our strength is in that collective bargaining. The other is actually on issues of our collective security. Again, as individual partner states, we are very vulnerable because our resources are so limited and our capacities are very limited. So the understanding is that when we come together as different partner states, putting our capabilities together, we are able to, to stitch together a more solid defense mechanism that can then be our, our shield against the potential threats that will come from outside. So these are really the broader issues, and also how do we then manage the common resources? I'll give you an example like Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is not exclusive to any partner state. It's collectively managed. That's why we have the Lake Victoria Basin Commission, which manages the Lake Victoria resources on behalf of the community, to rationalize the use of the lake and be able to protect those resources for the region. So all this is premised on the thinking that we should, as Africans, understand and appreciate our vulnerability as individual partner states that have been balkanized by the interest of the Western powers that colonized us.
Okay, thank you so much. You bring up a very good points there, but also you talked a little bit on my next question that I was actually going to bring to you. You know, national development concerns a lot. I mean, it involves a lot of things, and you've talked about security. But when you look at what's going on currently in the region, for example, Eastern DRC is not a secure place. That's why we've even got our forces in the DRC, and this to some extent, dents the strategies that probably the EAC Secretariat has in place to ensure that there is national development of these respective member states of the EAC. So, but also there is this view that the EAC has not done enough really to ensure that they tackle, as a bloc, they tackle these threats from various rebel groups like the ADF and so on. So what is your take on this? Are you doing enough?
Well, there is an effort, although it's not sufficient. There is an effort. EAC is work in progress. Every time we are trying to put in the building blocks for us to have a more resilient, a more stronger community. Of course, it comes with a lot of its own challenges. Indeed, security is one of them. But again, we should understand that the EAC is currently undergoing a transition. And that transition is informed by the weaknesses, the inherent weaknesses of the individual partner states, even under the context of our current cooperation. Because our current cooperation still preserves our sovereignty. We are still operating as sovereign partner states. That's why we call ourselves partner states. The thinking, the rationale around transitioning into a confederation, which is maybe not as strong as a political federation, but at least is much stronger than the current level of our cooperation, is to enable the EAC to function effectively. Because as it is now, there is tension between ceding powers to the center and retaining your sovereignty. So the contest conceptually is there. Am I a sovereign state, or how much should I cede to the region? And that has limited our capacity to respond collectively on matters like what you're saying, the security situation. But even then, our fidelity as a community is to the treaty. And the treaty is rich in terms of the existing legal resources. It has provisions that allows for partner states to pool resources together, whether it's military resources, whether it's financial resources. In any case, we are cooperating in the areas of defense, we are cooperating in the areas of intelligence gathering to deal with common threats, both potential and real. Now, in the case of the DRC, the DRC has always presented a threat that actually matured into a real security problem. And that's why Uganda had to go into DRC through a bilateral arrangement.
Yes.
We are hoping that by DRC coming over and being part of the East African community, it then will embrace the collective responsibility, that the EAC will impose on it, and be able to give opportunity for the community to then, respond to the security situation in the DRC collectively. Hopefully with our security arrangement, because we have protocols that govern our interventions. So we have a protocol on security and foreign policy. We have a protocol that governs our relations in terms of our intelligence sharing. All these are very useful resources that we can leverage on to ensure that we create a force that can respond to the situation in fact, for us, we are excited that DRC is joining, because it gives us the opportunity now to deal with the security threats in a more legitimate manner, you know, because then the treaty would then shield our response on matters of security jointly.
Thank you so much, Honorable Odong. And viewer, if you're just joining us, this is a national guidance moment, and we are looking at EAC as a pillar to national development. And discussing this topic is Honorable George Odong, who is a member of the East African Legislative Assembly, and he represents Uganda. Honorable, the other thing is what actually the EAC looks at is in as far as national development is concerned, is engaging the private sector and the respective countries, of course, member states engaging their private sector. Without the private sector, I think there is nothing much that can be achieved. And the question is the EAC helping the respective member states in areas that can actually see the private sector being engaged more to spur development of the respective nations?
Yeah, I think even conceptually, if you look at the background papers to the formation of this EAC, you will notice that, you know, EAC is private. The philosophy around it is private sector driven. The understanding is that once you have a robust private sector, once you have a very good private sector growing, then you are going to create jobs for the people. You are going to create relations that are driven by interests. And you know, once you have interests, then people tend to protect those interests. Then this will be now the key driver of the other elements of our integration, including social integration, including political integration. So private sector is a key driver of our integration, and it is given a lot of attention by the partner states. For your information, the first pillar of our EAC integration is customs union. And after the customs union, you have the common market protocol. The customs union is basically an enabler. It is to provide an enabling environment for private sector within the region to thrive. The common market protocol is to allow for free movement of persons, free movement of labor, you know, and free movement of capital within the EAC. Again, another facilitator of trade, you know, another facilitator of investment in the region. Within the EAC, we have the East African Business Council. The East African Business Council operates as a, you know, it's like a platform that brings together private sector players from all the partner states. And they use that platform to influence policy. They use that platform to influence legislation. They use that platform to try to push private sector agenda in the region. And they are doing an excellent job at the moment. They're doing an excellent job. In fact, when we were in Arusha for the Interparliamentary Games, the East African Business Council hosted all the members of parliament and took them through a raft of protocols, including a raft of laws that had been passed by the Assembly that have not yet been implemented by the different partner states. The idea was to leverage on the members of parliament who are there to try and push the different partner states to ensure that there is ratification of these pieces of legislation, but also to make sure that to align the national protocols, national laws to the regional laws, so that we are operating in an environment that is, conducive, and it is how could I call it, a flat environment.
Yes, yes.
So that you don't have a different legal regime operating in Uganda and another one operating in Kenya, another one operating in Tanzania. The weakness is that in its current formation, the EAC does not have the means to enforce compliance. It is still, its compliance is predicated upon, political will, the goodwill of the different partner states. Yes. So it has the state institutions of the partner states that are the ones supposed to ensure compliance with regional commitments. It does not have a mechanism of compliance because we are still sovereign partner states. So the idea of transitioning into a confederation will probably help us, assuming we have maybe the trade and investment sector seeded into the region. Then we'll have a common foreign policy, a common trade policy, and a common implementing mechanism, and also there will be an enforcement mechanism that is agreed upon by the partner states.
Thank you so much. And now we are talking about development of these, different partner states. Uganda, of course, that is our main topic here. But there have been differences between Uganda and Rwanda. Recently, Kenya also banning our goods, and we also yet to do something to reciprocate. And these, to a greater extent, affect development, national development of these different partner states. We lost a lot as a country in as far as revenue is concerned when Rwanda closed the border. Now, even with our goods being banned from entering the Kenyan market, and this impacts negatively on our economy and also those other the economies of those other countries. So what is happening? What are you doing as EAC to ensure that these things stop happening? Because otherwise the EAC will not achieve its goals.
The operative word in the EAC integration process at the moment is continuous negotiation. We have to negotiate ourselves out of this. And that's why, our emphasis has always been that there is no differences whatsoever between our partner states that is beyond our capacity to negotiate. Our situation with Rwanda is a complex one. My opinion is that trade has just been weaponized. That Rwanda is weaponizing our trade relations. But it is not, in the narrative that is coming from Rwanda, it doesn't talk about trade differences or whether reciprocating anything between us and them. It's talking about a completely different context. So theirs is something that requires intense and very, very open and candid discussions. And that should take place at the highest level of our political structure, that is at the level of the summit. But broadly speaking, where there is regional cooperation, where there is economic integration, there are usually challenges of this nature. What is important is, do we have the institutional resources? Do we have the legal frameworks in place that are put in place to deal with that? The answer is yes and no. Yes, because we have the protocols that guide our relations. We have the laws that we have passed as an assembly that have been ratified by all the partner states that guide how businesses are done. But also there are gaps in our legal systems. There are prayers that we have put to the Council of Ministers that have not yet been implemented. For example, I'll give you. Our trade relations between Uganda and Kenya or even between Uganda and any other, or even between, say, Kenya and Tanzania. Of recent, there has been a bilateral arrangement between Kenya and Tanzania. They had 64 non-tariff barriers. Non-tariff barriers. We passed a Non-Tariff Barriers Act. The two principals, the two presidents met and agreed that we should have a committee. And they formed a high-level committee that dealt with each of those non-tariff barriers. They resolved in 2 weeks 46 of them. Okay. They are left with 18. But that tells you the power of continuous engagement.
Dialogue.
Now, in our case with Kenya, I see the politics playing more in the decisions that Kenya is making than actually the rationale of trade. If you read the newspapers, the opinions, and so on from the Kenyan public media, you will see that they are rationally against the actions of Kenya, you know. But because Kenya must, in my opinion, Kenya must make political decisions, okay, that give it some political traction, because you are running up to elections. Then you make it a little bit more difficult to continue to engage in this process. You don't even want to have a conversation around these issues, so that you go through a political process. And then, but I know deep inside them, they know that they are contravening the existing protocols, and also that rationally they are making a big mistake, because banning our products from Uganda is counterproductive to both Kenya and Uganda. That's a case of continuous engagement.
And Honorable, we are almost through with this show. Probably, if there are some pertinent issues that you'd like to, give out to the viewer, in as far as this topic is concerned.
To our viewers, regional integration is a necessary undertaking. It is not an option. It is part of our broader calculus of sustainable development. We as small partner states, and for a case of Uganda, we are a land-linked country. We should be largely disadvantage to us. We should largely be cultivating relations with the different partner states, leveraging on their connections to the seas, for us to be able to export. But also that we have, over the last actually up to 2018, we had almost $200 million of trade surplus between us and Kenya. And trade between the East African community has grown from $3 billion some 8 years back to something like $9 billion. It has been affected by COVID-19. We have to continue to perfect this union in spite of all its imperfections. It's a marriage that we are in it. We are no longer flirting with this relationship. We have consummated it, and we must deal with the vagaries of integrating with the different partner states, with different cultures, with different trade priorities, and so on and so on. But we must elevate the conversation to a strategic level where we all understand that we are together in this thing, and the big picture is more important than the small things that try to tear us apart. Thank you.
Thank you so much, viewer. That has been Honorable George Odong, who is a member of Parliament at the East African Legislative Assembly, representing Uganda, and he's been talking about EAC as a bloc, but its role in as far as national development of these partner states is concerned, and a lot he's really talked given us a lot insight into what they are doing as a bloc, and it has been a pleasure having you here, and hopefully next time you'll come back and give us some more insight into these other topics that we have not discussed tonight. And that's the end of this national guidance moment, and of course it's brought to you by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance in partnership with Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Rukidi Edward Kiijanangoma. Stay tuned for more programming to come your way.